What is up, YouTube? In today's video, I want to talk to you about the one reason that you have yet to achieve your health and fitness goals. And 2025 is 2 days away, so if you implement this one tip that I give you in this video, I can promise you with zero uncertainty that you will achieve any health or fitness goal that you set up for yourself and actually sustain it over the long term. So I was reviewing a client check-in call from a client of mine that's dropped 20 pounds over the past 12 weeks. He's improved his digestion, he's removed the bloating, he's taken care of ankle pain, hip pain, and he actually just signed up for his first marathon. So it's pretty hype. And I felt like creating a YouTube video, and I didn't know what to talk about, but this sparked the topic. So make sure you stay all the way to the end if you want to hear the sauce. And I think this is what holds so many people back from achieving the health and fitness goals they set up for themselves. And countless times, friends, family, clients of mine, people I've worked with, fell off the wagon, stopped following through because of this one reason. And really what that is just putting too much on your plate. So many people, as 2025 approaches, they say they're going to start going to the gym, they're going to start drinking more water, they're going to eat their vegetables, they're going to hit their protein, all these things, bro. The list goes on and on. And after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, all of these habits fall out the window. And you need to understand one simple concept when it comes to health and fitness. Our body adapts to its environment. And so it doesn't matter how much of the adaptation occurs. What really matters is the consistency of it over the long term. So if you start with one habit and you actually follow through with it for 2, 3, 5, 10, heck, in my position, 12 years, then you're gonna make so much more progress than the person that tries to do a ton in the beginning and falls off track. And it's funny because I was reviewing this call with my client, and it was actually from 2 months. It was from after we had been together for 2 months. So it was a month and a half ago, right? We've been maybe 12 or 13 weeks into the program now, and January's coming up. And it was from 2 months ago, and I was reviewing the call, and I literally was just giving him the basic steps, like water intake, protein, yada, yada, yada. And I remember on the call, he told me that he was going to do everything perfect. He was going to track the food, he was going to track his protein, he was going to cut his carbs, he was going to cut out sugar, he was going to cut out alcohol, he was going to stop drinking, he was going to do all these things. And I told him, like, dude, don't worry about any of that stuff. Just do the few key variables that are actually going to thread the needle. And I've worked with over 100 clients, men just like you watching on the other side of the screen, and like this individual client. And I told him, like, 99% of the time, none of these habits stick with us. And you know, it's funny because so many people, they have this high motivation, this high confidence, this self-belief, which is great. But you need to think from a realistic perspective. You need to set high expectations, but also with those high expectations, trying to go above and beyond is great. And that's what I'm a big advocate of, is, you know, aiming for these large expectations, but also being realistic and knowing that, like, okay, I'm gonna still have these high expectations and aim for this, but even on the worst day, even on a bad day, even on a bad month, as long as I follow through with a few key thread the needle variables that actually improve my physique, my health, that's all that matters. So on a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, etc., 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 as long as you do these few key variables, you're gonna follow through and actually see the results you're after. And I remember this client telling me, I'm gonna cut out alcohol entirely. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to do that. You can still go out and enjoy yourself. You can still go out and drink. And he's like, no, like, I'm done drinking, right? And I'm like, okay, dude. A couple weeks go by, we talk on our next call. Oh, I just actually drank. Like, I went out for some drinks. I'm like, dude, like I told you, like, you don't have to worry that much, right? I'm telling him, like, just focus on hitting your protein target, because it's gonna cut out a lot of cravings. It's gonna help improve digestion. It's gonna help all these things. It's gonna help you build more muscle. It's gonna help you drop fat, etc. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna do that, plus I'm gonna cut out carbs. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about the other things. Just focus on a few key variables. And the funny thing is, I get so frustrated sometimes because I'm like, I understand how it is to have this high motivation, this high discipline, and wanting these big goals. But these clients still don't follow through with it. And that's nothing at you. It's hard to stick with these things. And I've been in shoes myself where I'm like, I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. And I don't do all of it. I just do some. Right? So, like, it's great to think that way, but being realistic in the sense of not cutting yourself short of what you could do, but knowing that at a bare minimum, on the worst day, as long as you follow through with the bare minimum habits, you're gonna beat 99% of the people out there. You're gonna make way more progress than you have in the past. So don't get upset at yourself or frustrated if you're not doing everything perfect. Still have those expectations, because it's gonna make you take more action. It's gonna make you take more action than absolutely necessary, like I say all the time. But as long as you actually just follow through with a couple of these things, the most important thread the needle variables and activities, then you get the results. So, like, as long as you're checking those off the box, that's truly all that matters. And so this particular client, guess what happened? He didn't follow through with those over the top, doing everything perfect variables, but he did follow through with a few key variables that consistently pushed him in the direction he was aiming for. And just because he set the bar so high and he focused on keeping the floor higher, meaning his bare minimum worst bad days were so much better than his past, he lost 20 pounds of body fat. He improved his digestion. He got rid of all this joint pain. And he's so much further ahead than he was had he tried to, be perfect in the long haul, right? And so it's like every single client that I work with that tries to do everything, they try to do 3 or 4 days in the gym, they try to track their macros, they try to do everything perfect. They never follow through, and it's not sustainable. And each time that I tried to do something unsustainable like that, like cutting my carbs or going on keto, it never worked out long term, and it actually had the spiral effect. And so like whoever's watching this video, like if you can just actually focus on the few key variables that improve things over the long haul, like hitting your protein, like doing the exercise and staying consistent with accountability and actually following through. Shout out this guy for giving me quality light. If you're able to do that, bro, then you make way better progress than you would have if you tried to be perfect. So still set the bar high for yourself, have a higher ceiling, but lift the floor, bro. Have a higher flooring for yourself. So the bare minimum bad worst days, you're still, even on a bad day, you're still making sure you get that done. And that will allow you to have that long-term approach. And oftentimes, when you don't do everything perfect, like you set out for yourself, not just this is not sustainable, but you also have this negative reinforcement that plays a role, where now because you're not doing everything perfect, you're basically like, okay, I'm going from 100 to 0, or black to white, right? Like the analogy of like, if you're not doing anything perfect, you might as well do nothing perfect, right? And so many people get caught in that cycle, rather than being somewhere in the middle, where you have that balanced, sustainable approach that you can actually stick with over the long term. And that's what causes real sustainable results when it comes to your health and fitness goals, or with any goal in general. If you want to start a business, right? Like me personally, I wanted to always start this business with fitness. I wasn't doing everything perfect 5, 10 years ago, but I was taking some action, right? I wasn't focusing on getting the landing page and the website and everything. Heck, like I wasn't even doing anything near close to that, but I still had the vision for it. I still was telling people about it, that one day I was going to do this thing. And then so when the business actually starts to take off, people know that I've been doing this for this whole time. And they remember like, oh yeah, this dude has been into fitness for 12 years. Like I'm going to trust him more than the guy that has everything perfect in the long term. Because bro, truly, nothing is ever perfect. You never hit a point where you have this, my friend said this the other day, never do you get to this point where you have this, dream state where everything's perfect. Like you have new problems present themselves. As you have new successes, bro, new problems arise. And that's a good issue, right? You have to choose your heart, but like, you're never going to have this point where everything's perfect, where all the variables are down. And even if you do, it's gone in a rapid second. So don't worry about being perfect with everything, bro. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have things that you're not able to always do. But as long as you do something better than not doing anything at all, and bringing that floor up instead of trying to reach towards the ceiling, that's going to be such a better, guideline for you getting to the results you want. So with your health and fitness goals, aim to have a higher ceiling. Yes, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying just focus on being better than you were yesterday, because that's corny, bro. That's straight cornball talk. And I'm not pushing that by any means. I think you should do more than absolutely necessary, because most people think that they're doing enough, and they're truly not. If you're doing enough, then you would have the thing you want. And life is truly a game of always trying to do better and be more, because, new problems arise, they present themselves. But also, focus that and understand that you're not going to always be able to hit that, because it's not sustainable. So aim for that, but bro, lift that ceiling higher, but lift the floor even higher, right? So now, the worst day, the bad days, the days where you're barely following through, you're still doing so much better than you were in the past. And over the long term, with the sustainability, you actually start to see real progress. And this is why, like my client, literally dropped 20 pounds. And he wasn't even focusing on losing weight. He just told me he wanted to improve his digestion, and he wanted to get pain-free. And we cleared those things up, right? But he followed through with the plan, and he wasn't even doing anything perfect, right? He wasn't doing everything perfect. A lot of times he was missing out on the steps that were important. But I told him, like, as long as you don't quit, as long as you follow through with the bare minimum tasks, and you hold yourself to the standard that you are the person that can achieve these things, as I'm going to hold you to these standards, I'm going to hold you accountable. As long as you can commit to at least not quitting and doing more than you did yesterday, you will see the results you want. And like that, bro, 20 pounds, actually 21.4 pounds dropped. Digestion issues resolved. Bloating issues resolved. Right? Joint pain gone. His favorite activity was, running, going on the treadmill and going outside for runs. And he couldn't do that. It was just taken from him, vanished, because he had joint pain. And so simply by not quitting, he was actually able to get far greater results than he wanted in the first place. And he achieved those things that he said, and he's nowhere near close to his deadline or his finish line. Heck, like I said earlier in the video, he just signed up for a marathon. That's crazy, bro. He just told me he wanted to just feel better and get rid of some of these issues. And now we're doing even greater things. And it all stemmed from the fact that he was doing the bare minimum tasks consistently, rather than aiming to be perfect. Even though he tries to go above and beyond, and he does sometimes, on those bad days, he's still better than he was in the past. And so what I want you guys to get from this video is, like, as long as you follow through with the bare minimum tasks, the ones that are actually important, Don't worry about being perfect all the time, because you're going to make so much better progress. And this is why most people fall off track, because they get in their own head and they get frustrated with not being perfect. Focus on adapting your body to the bare minimum things, and it will see the results it wants, right? That you want, right? So as 2025 approaches, don't worry about being perfect. Look from a 10-year horizon. I read this book over the summer that changed things for me. Every goal you set out for yourself, look from a 10-year horizon, right? Which might be contradictory in some sense, because you want to do a ton of action in the micro. But as long as you have that long-term approach, like, okay, in a 10-year horizon, if I'm going to do this for the next 10 years, what's something I can actually follow through with?